Hi everyone, it's Miss Nelson here from Pink Tulip Creations, and I am going to teach you about nouns today. So, we are learning to recognize and use nouns in our reading and writing. For our success criteria today, so by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to define a noun. That means that you will be able to tell me what it is. Success criteria 2, you'll be able to give examples and recognize a noun. So that means that you should be able to give some examples of what a noun is, and you should also be able to know what a noun is when you see it. Okay, and that could be while you're reading or in sentences. And our third success criteria is that you will be able to use nouns correctly in a sentence. So to practice that, we'll probably get you guys to write some sentences and underline the noun in them so that we know that you know what the noun is in your sentence. So our first thing that we need to do, and our first success criteria, is that you can define a noun. So I'm going to give you guys a minute. You can either, if you're taking notes with your teacher, you can write down your definition for a noun, so what you think it is. Have a go. It's okay if you get it wrong, because we're going to do one together in a minute. If you're brainstorming with your class, I'll get your teacher to pause the video now so that you can either have a discussion as a class, or you can have a discussion with your partner and come up with a definition together. So I'm going to let your teacher pause the video now while you do that. Okay, so hopefully you have had time to write your definition down if you're taking some notes in your books, or you've come up with a definition as a class or with a partner. So I'm going to give you my definition now. I want you to think about how closely that matches your definition that you guys came up with. So I use the definition, a noun. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Okay, a noun is a person, a place, or an object. Some people use the word thing instead of object, a person, a place, or a thing, but I think object sounds better. So that's a noun. That's pretty easy, that definition. Okay, a person, a place, or an object. So we met our first success criteria, so remember that definition, see if it was close to yours, and we're going to review that at the end, so try and remember it. Alright, on to our next success criteria, and that was that you can give examples of a noun. So, keeping in mind that it's a person, a place, or a thing, and we're only doing very basic nouns, there are nouns that you can't feel or see or touch, but we're going to cover that in a future lesson. For today, we're just going to look at the nouns that you can feel and touch and see. It makes it really easy to help you understand what they are. So, keep in mind that a noun is something you can feel or touch or see. And I want you, if you're taking notes, to write down some examples that you might think of that are a noun. If you're brainstorming as a class, I'm going to get your teacher to pause the video now so you can have a discussion as a class or with a partner. See if you can come up with some examples. Remember, it is okay to get it wrong. We're going to go over them in a minute anyway. Okay, so just have a go. Alright, hopefully you had some time then to write down some examples of a noun or come up with some examples as a class. Let's come up with some. I'm going to come up with some now and see if you had some of the same ones. So let's think about person, place, or thing. We have proper nouns and common nouns. So people and names are proper nouns, and we're going to go into that in more detail later. So I can just use myself as an example. So Miss Nelson, and I'm actually a proper noun. So I get capital letters for my name, but I'm still a noun. Some more basic ones, things or objects, are a dog, okay? And that shouldn't have a capital letter because it's not a proper noun. Anything else you can see around you in your classroom, you might have been able to see a table. That's easy, that one. Tree, outside. You might have thought even computer. That's what I'm typing on right now. Anything that you a pencil case is a noun. What else could you think of in your room that is a noun? something you can feel, see, or touch. Your chair, what you're sitting on, is a noun. It's a thing. Okay? And then you have places. So the park. Okay? That's a noun. That's not a proper noun because I didn't give the name of the park. I just said park. Okay? So if you're writing notes, you can write down some of those examples. Otherwise, just see if they match some of your examples that you came up with. Okay, so that's our part of our second success criteria. Next, we have to be able to recognize the noun. So that means that you can see the noun and know that it's a noun. And it can be hard because sometimes in the sentences we read, there's lots of other different types of grammar and you might get mixed up. So we'll practice it now. I'm going to write a sentence and I want you to be thinking about what the noun is in that sentence. If you're taking notes, you might even be able to write that noun down in your books. Okay, remember to have a go. It's fine to get it wrong. You'll learn from your mistakes. Alright, so here's the sentence here. The angry man yelled at the children. Okay, the angry man yelled at the children. Have a think now or write down the nouns in the sentence. Okay? Alright, so the noun in this sentence, it's the man. So I'm going to underline the man because he is a person. So that one's quite easy. And the children, okay, they're also people. Alright, there are no other nouns in this sentence. The rest of them are verbs or describing words. So the angry man yelled at the children. So hopefully you were able to recognize the nouns yourself. Alright, let's try another one. So I'm going to write the sentence and I want you to either write down the nouns if you're taking notes or just think about the nouns in your mind. Okay? I'm going to try and confuse you guys a bit. No, I'm not. I'm just going to add some descriptive language in this one. Okay, the adorable puppies were playing happily at the gigantic park. Okay, so we need to work out what are the people, place, or things in this sentence. Adorable is not a thing. It's not something you can really see or touch. It's not a noun. Puppies is our noun. Okay? It's a thing. They are things. Okay? We're playing. That's what they were doing. Happily. That's how they were doing it. At the gigantic park. So park is our noun here. It is our place. And gigantic is just another word to describe the park. Okay? So that's our other noun there. And there's two nouns in that sentence, and I think that's all. We'll just have a double check. The adorable puppies were playing happily at the gigantic park. Perfect. Alright, let's try one more just to make sure you guys have got the hang of this. So, let's see. Again, you have to recognize the noun. So you should be writing it down or you should be picturing it in your mind. The scary monster jumped out of the closet. There we go. The scary monster jumped out of the closet. So we need to underline the nouns in this sentence. The scary monster. Monster is my noun. That's my thing in this sentence. And scary is just a word to describe the monster. He jumped out of the closet. Okay, that's my other thing. That's what he did. That's my noun. So the scary monster jumped out of the closet. So I have monster and closet in this sentence. So there's 3 examples, alright? Hopefully you're getting the hang of being able to tell where the noun is in the sentence. Alright, so we've had a lot of practice. Now it is time for you to have a practice. So in a minute your teacher is going to pause the video. so that you can have a go at using nouns in a sentence. So I want you guys to come up with 3 sentences. 1, 2, 3. Try and make your sentences nice and descriptive. I don't want just boring sentences like the dog crossed the road. Okay, so dog is your noun in that sentence and road is your noun, but that is a very, very boring sentence. Try and add some description. Make your sentences interesting. Be creative, okay? And you're going to do 3 sentences. And in those 3 sentences, you must underline the noun, okay? Your teacher needs to be able to see that you know what a noun is. Okay, so unless you underline the noun, we won't know whether you know which word in your sentence is the noun. So your teacher's going to pause the video and you're going to work on those 3 sentences. Be creative, be interesting, and make sure you know what the noun is. Use the noun correctly in that sentence. Alright, so your teacher will pause your video now. Alright. Hopefully you were able to come up with 3 really good sentences, and hopefully you were able to use those nouns in a sentence, because that is actually our 3rd success criteria. So if you were able to do that, we've covered all 3 success criteria. So the last thing we need to do, and we always need to do this, it is really important, we go back over and we review what we've learned today and see whether we have met our 3 success criteria. So this is where you need to be thinking, do I remember that? Have I learnt it? Am I going to remember it in the future? So let's see what our first success criteria was, and that was that we can define a noun. So I'm just going to make this a little bigger. Now, we came up for a definition with a noun. I came up with one, and you guys came up with one yourselves as well. So right now, again, I'm going to ask your teacher to pause the video and see if you can tell your teacher or share as a class or tell your partner or even write down the definition for a noun. So have a go at that right now. Okay, so the definition that I used was that a noun is a person, a place, or an object. And I did say that you can use the word thing, but I like the word object more. It sounds a bit nicer. Okay, that was our first success criteria. There was kind of 2 parts to our second success criteria. We will be able to give examples and recognize a noun. So again, I'm going to ask your teacher to pause the video for a minute and see if you can either write down some examples of a noun or discuss the examples of a noun as a class or with a partner. That shouldn't take very long. I want you to do that now. Okay, hopefully you were able to come up with at least 4 or 5 different examples of a noun. And our next success criteria, or part of success criteria number 2, was that you can recognize the noun in a sentence. So that means that if I write a sentence, you can straight away tell me what the noun is. So let's just have a quick practice of that. I'm going to write a sentence, and I want you either to write down the noun or tell your partner what the noun is in that sentence. Alright, so your sentence is, the lazy cat slept lazily on his mat. The lazy cat slept lazily on his mat. So I want you to either write down those nouns, or if you're just doing this video as a class, you can share what the noun is with a partner, or your teacher might want to pause the video and ask you what the nouns are. So do that now for me, please. Alright, hopefully you've done that now, and I am going to show you what the noun is. So the lazy cat is your first noun, and the mat is the other noun in this sentence. His is also a type of noun. It's a pronoun, but we're not going to cover that until a later video, so don't stress too much about that one right now unless you've already learnt pronouns and you were smart enough to remember that. But otherwise, Cat and Matt is just fine. Okay? And our third success criteria, the last thing that we had to be able to do was use a noun correctly in a sentence. And that's why I got you guys to write down those 3 nouns. So just to review and make sure you remember that, and you're absolutely perfect at that, I'm going to give you a second now to write down another sentence of your own. Or if you're sharing as a class, I want you to discuss a sentence with a partner, or brainstorm as a class and tell your partner or your class or underline the noun in the sentence for me. Okay, I want you to do that now. Alright, I'm going to do one. Let's see if I can think of one on the spot. The boy was playing on the oval. Okay, and that's my sentence that I'm going to use. That's very plain, and I asked you guys to come up with really creative sentences, so hopefully you were able to do better than that. I was on the spot. So the boy is my noun, so I would underline that one, and the oval. Okay, and if you were discussing it as a class or a partner, hopefully you were discussing the noun in your sentence. So that's it for today. We have covered what a noun is, how you can use nouns in a sentence, how you can recognize the nouns, and how you can give some examples of nouns. So they are the important things that you should be able to do. The key for this is to practice, 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 okay? Go and tell your friends what a noun is. Go home and tell your family what is a noun. Test them out. See if they can recognize the nouns in the sentence, okay? You've got to be able to practice it as best as you can. Alright, thank you so much for listening today, and I hope that you've learnt lots and lots about nouns. Stay tuned for more videos about the different types of grammar. They'll be coming up in the next few weeks. Thank you very much.